thought we should get started by welcoming our wonderful guest, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome, a former member of the Louisiana House of Representatives, former chairman of the Municipal Parochial and Cultural Affairs Committee, former Speaker pro tempore of the State Senate, former reporter at WBRZ, and has been an adjunct professor at LSU here, and also is now in 2016 became the first female and first African American elected mayor president of Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish. Did I get everything?
You covered a lot of territory there.
Well, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm glad to be here with you. Listen, I have to tell you this. Back in the day when I was in school studying mass comm, we didn't have podcasts back then. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you that I did work at our student radio station.
Whoa.
You really did?
So, did not know that.
Yes,
wow.
I did, yeah.
What did you do in that field?
I was, I did a little news, but I really had my own jazz show.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so back in the day. Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Share in the DJ's chair.
Whoa. That's crazy. Are you familiar with Zia Tamamami? I think I'm pronouncing that right?
She does the spontaneous combustion jazz show on Saturdays.
No.
If I remember correctly, it's the longest running jazz show in North America.
Really?
Yes,
No,
and he operates out of our studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to tune in.
Yes, well, thank you for being here so much. And as our listeners know, we are a college radio station. We mainly specialize in music broadcasting, of course. So we would be remiss if not to ask you, what music have you been listening to recently?
Oh, wow. I always tell people I have a very diverse music list. So I listen to, it depends on what mood I'm in.
Of course.
But I have created my own library. And I will tell you, if you look at my library, you see some of my playlists that are titled 2024 Mix, 2023 Good News Mix. Here's one, Message Music.
Okay.
Wow.
Peace. Motown's Greatest Hits.
Ooh.
Peace 2. I'm always seeking peace,
Aren't we all?
Gospel Mix. 2023 Variety.
I see 70s Soul classics.
70 Souls
Wow.
Classic. So that's what I listen to. And it all depends. Oh, I like this one that I've been listening to now. It's like a instrumental jazz mix.
Yes, I listen to a lot of instrumental jazz whenever I'm studying.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to.
Oh, yes.
So it just depends on what mood I'm in.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes, in the morning when I leave out, I like something upbeat, and then sometimes by the time the end of the day, I just want peace. And calm and stuff.
Understandable.
Yeah,
So you can take the DJ out of the booth.
That's
Or you can take the person out of the booth. Oh,
Yeah,
I screwed it up already, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dear. Well, with that out of the way, we're going to jump into the more, shall I say, pertinent questions to why you're here in the mayor-president capacity. So I understand that you've decided to run again for a final term as mayor-president. Could you maybe outline why you have decided to run again?
Yes. First of all, at the heart of my desire to run for my third and final term, because you can run 3 times here, or you can have 3 terms if you're elected. I will tell you that I have likened myself to a contractor who's been involved with a major renovation and rehab of a home, and Baton Rouge is the home I've been working on. And we have accomplished, which I'll be glad to share with you, a lot of major issues dealing with infrastructure and drainage and public safety and quality of life and quality of place. We've had some major projects like our Move EBR, the largest infrastructure project in the history of Baton Rouge, over $1 billion. And so I want to continue to build. There are some goals that I have. There is a broader and bigger vision that I have that I want to continue to work on. And I believe 4 more years will give me that opportunity to continue the work, to continue to create what my vision is, the best mid-sized city in America. So we've made progress. We've had challenges, but we've also had more triumphs than we have had challenges. And so, I want to continue that work for the next 4 years. I have also described myself from time to time as a crisis manager, because during the time since I have been mayor, I was elected in 2016. Mm-hmm. Well, if you were here in 2016, and I'm not sure if you
I'm
were
from North Louisiana.
Okay, so you weren't here.
I'm from Annapolis, Maryland,
Okay.
so I was not here.
Well,
we've been playing catch up on the information whenever we got to LSU.
Yeah, I get it. In 2016, though, was a very tumultuous year for us here in Baton Rouge. It was when we had the killing of Alton Sterling. Mm-hmm. That was pre-George Floyd. Mm-hmm. It was our George Floyd incident here in Baton Rouge. Then we had the ambush that took place of our police officers that were killed. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we had a 100-year flood.
Yes.
That really impacted this community.
Yes.
And then during all that, I was running for office, telling people why they should vote for me and support me. Well, I was fortunate enough, blessed enough to get elected and took office in 2017. But guess what I had to do in 2017? Start working on all of those issues that impacted us in 2016 because we were a community in trauma. So we started working on things like closing the gap between police and the community. We started working on major infrastructure projects that impacted our drainage system, cleaning those things out. And so we continue to do the work. Also, since I've been mayor, I don't know if you've heard about this, but we've had a part of our city that wanted to break away and create another city.
Yes.
And so I started a process, a litigation process, because the organizers of that effort, while they were successful at the ballot booth, they were not able to tell me how they were going to put together a city of 70,000 people that would impact not only the people who would be a part of that city, but all of our city. And my goal is always to keep our city unified, right? In fact, I read a great quote this morning. I wrote it down. Hopefully I brought it during my quiet time from none other than J.K. Rowling.
Oh, wow.
She said, "We are only as strong as we are united and as weak as we are divided."
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I want us to be united, and that's why I have been working to keep our community together. And I know I'm going on and on and on,
so
I'll pause now and let you guys, because I still have more to say.
Well, I was going to say on that note about that community and that project that I would agree, like as a Baton Rouge community, I feel like we are stronger together. And if we're going to try and solve these problems, we should all face it head on together and not try to build divisions between us.
Yes,
there
exactly.
are certainly opinions on what you're talking about within the station.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
we fielded about asking you about it. It's funny that you brought it up because we fielded asking you about it, and then we were like, well, isn't it in the state Supreme Court right now?
It is.
And we were like, well, it's not really like entirely relevant, so we scrapped that. So it's like, it was interesting. It was just funny that you brought it up.
I brought it up because it has been a part of, it has been a very significant issue that I have dealt with since I have been mayor, keeping this city united. And I think people should remember that as we talk about, the things that I have done, the foundation that I've laid, the work that I've done, and how we need to continue to build.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, going off of that, of what we're building, I was just going to ask just like a maybe overview of what kind of policies you're really trying to hit this election cycle, because I'm sure those have differed slightly from your past elections.
Yeah, we've massaged some things, and the vision has been adjusted in many ways. And I will tell you that I am focusing on what I describe pathways to progress. And these pathways to progress, which are part of my vision, include increasing community safety, and I'll talk about those. I can elaborate on those as well. Improving quality of place and quality of life. We talked about our infrastructure, making sure that we have sustainable infrastructure, creating equitable and sustainable business opportunities for everyone in our community, and working on quality of place and quality of life. I think I said that, but prioritizing a city where everyone can thrive. And so those are what I describe as our pathways to progress. And I'd be glad to share any, additional information on those separately, what I mean by those.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to those at some point in this. But, Mel, did you have a question?
I do. Pardon me as I move this to a place where it is more convenient for me to read it. So currently, as it stands right now, in the mayor presidential race, there are two Democrats running against each other. It's you and Ted James. So how do you feel about running against somebody in your own party that you may share some ideals with?
Well, first of all, let's start off, this is certainly America, and we have a democracy, so I realize that. As the incumbent, I will tell you, I am not excited that a Democrat has decided to run against me, especially a Democrat that was the co-chair of my mayoral campaign in 2016, especially a Democrat who I have uplifted and helped throughout his public service career, especially a Democrat that has had access to opportunities in city parish government that have been very significant. And, a Democrat who recently was served as the SBA regional director, and I was proud to give my endorsement to the Biden administration for him for that role. So that's how I feel about another Democrat running against me.
Okay, noted. I'm going to read my next question off of this. So on that note, how do you feel about being in a race with two Democrats in a state that, because I feel like it is significant in a way to the community, especially in a state that is increasingly right-wing at the state legislative and executive level, because I feel like it shows maybe some kind of like disconnect between the Baton Rouge community and the state as a whole.
Well, let me try to capture what I think the question here, and it goes back to your question too. I believe that, and it goes back to our quote: "We're stronger together when we're united." Right. So when Democrats unite around shared goals, around a candidate, right, then it makes us stronger. It makes our opportunity to be successful stronger because you are not splitting the Democratic vote. And I believe that is something that Democrats should be cognizant of if we are going to increase the number of Democrats, whether it's on the state level or whether it's on the local level.
Okay. Understood. Thank you. So aside from, let's circle back to Ted James, if you don't mind.
Accidentally
skipped their question.
Skipped their question because I thought it was alternating, and then I immediately realized that I was wrong.
Sorry about that. So your platform, which you outlined a bit, What makes it different from your opponents in this mayoral presidential race?
Well, I have not been focusing on my opponent's platform, but I shared with you the 5 focus areas of my platform, and I can unpack those for you. But I will tell you that there are some very distinct differences between the present opponent that I have. And let me just say this, qualifying is in July, right?
Yes.
So then we'll know what the field will
Right.
truly
Yes.
look like during qualifying. But it's imperative that, the listeners understand that we have, two, at this point, critical choice, that we have some critical choices ahead of us. As we approach this upcoming election. I think that's very important for everyone to understand, and why I have never shied away from opposition during my political journey. As I said, I must express my concerns about the future of loyalty and what that means to this community. When one's past assistance in achieving key opportunities and policies in business is overlooked and stepped on in the name of ambition. So I believe that drawing some distinctions, I have been committed to this community. I have stood shoulder to shoulder with our community, as I shared with you earlier. Leading us through some of our toughest challenges, floods, hurricanes, COVID-19 pandemic. And so sometimes people come along and they're like, yeah, but I'm the best, I'm the flavor of the month. I'm the new and improved, or I'm the better this or that. And I believe that there is value to stability and experience versus just some promises that may sound good, rosy pictures that may sound good. I've been in the trenches. And while I certainly have, while I certainly want to and will and have encourage the next generation of leadership, I don't think experience should be devalued. I don't think wisdom, insight on the job, someone who's been on the job and the results that have taken place should be devalued in the election process. I believe that the electorate should focus on the tangible results that I have achieved through hard work, dedication, and experience. And so I've outlined our future that I see for Baton Rouge through the pathways to progress. And, it's good to have a record. It's good to have a record, especially when your record shows that you've been working for the people. My motivation has always been my care and my concern for the citizens of this community. And I have demonstrated that over the years. And so I go into this election focused on, as I said, our pathways to progress, and believing that the work that I have done, the places that I have been to connect with our community, the people that I have touched and helped, I believe that my leadership will stand on its own in terms of what I've been able to accomplish together with this community.
Well said, well said. And I think plenty of people in the Baton Rouge community have felt your presence over the last 8 years?
Yeah.
8 years.
Yes.
Sorry, had to do some quick math.
And then on a similar note, and I'm sorry to be jumping around
No.
this, but what makes your platform different than that of the state?
Well, That's a good question, because one of the things that I want to do in my next term, hopefully, as people will affirm and reelect me, that's my goal, that's my vision. I want to do a class. I have my mayor's advisory council, which is made up of high school students, but I want to broaden that to a opportunity for local government one-on-one. One-on-one with the mayor. Local government,
okay.
not 101, but one-on-one with the mayor,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so I want to do that because I believe there are so many things that people may not know about local government that they should know, and that I can give them firsthand knowledge about. So that goes back to the differences between state and local government. And since I've had the opportunity, the privilege to serve on both levels, I will say that in the legislature, the time that I spent in the legislature, I dealt with more philosophical issues. And while I served on the municipal committee, which dealt with some local issues, most of the issues that we dealt with in the legislature were philosophical issues surrounding topics like, education, healthcare, etc. In local government, in my seat as the CEO of the city and parish, I will tell you that at the end of the day, it's a lot about basic services, quality of life issues for the citizens here. Now, there are, from time to time, some philosophical issues that enter that space, but at the end of the day, that is what local government does most. As the mayor, of course, I have to attract new businesses, work with our chamber and others to attract new businesses here. I have to get involved in transformative projects like, our new proposed River Center, Convention Center and hotel and Memorial Stadium, and what's going to be taking place here at LSU. I have to get involved in issues and projects like that, the new LSU arena. So these are things that happen at a local level as well. But, sometimes being in local government is not glamorous, because people will call the mayor and say, look, my trash hasn't been picked up. Yeah. Somebody DM'd our social media page and said, look, somebody left all these street lights here and they should have been picked up. And so, these are things that we have to deal with, and we do deal with in local government.
Makes sense.
And that's just a snapshot. There are some other. So those are the big differences. Some of the big differences between what goes on in state government versus local government.
Right. I would like to say, to your point about and I'm so sorry, but I forgot what it's called exactly, but the group of high schoolers that you have
the mayor's youth advisory committee.
Yes, correct. As we were talking about, the mayor's coming around the station, one of our teachers was like, oh, I was on her advisory committee when I was in high school. So there are...
Which DJ was that?
It was Ella.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you have some alumni of the program in the building. Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that program.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a thing. I mean, I'm from Ruston, and we didn't have anything like that with our mayor's council.
Yeah.
So you brought up the new LSU arena. So that was one of the things as LSU students we wanted to talk about. Me specifically, because I am doing a big project on that and other stadiums this summer in my own personal professional career. So I wanted to field some questions, and Mel had our first one about that.
I do, yes. So it's just just an overview. If you could, in your own words, tell us what is this? What is this? What's going on? That kind of thing.
Well, I will tell you that there has been a study done and other research that looks at the event and concert capacity here in Baton Rouge. It appears that we have not been maximizing that space, and a group of individuals got together to talk about how can we maximize that space. We had studies done, as I said, and one of the results from some of the studies and something that was brought forth to us was the potential of a new arena at LSU. And so that new arena the goal would be to maximize concert opportunities here in Baton Rouge. Many people have compared it to some of the things that take place at the stadium in Austin. I can't think of the name of it right now. But right now, we find that many concerts are going to other cities in Louisiana, but not Baton Rouge. And this would be an opportunity for us to capture that crowd of individuals. In addition, it would stimulate the economy. And you've heard us talk about 3 projects that have been discussed. One is the LSU Arena. The second one is the potential of a new hotel, conference center, where the River Center is, and then another venue for sports and entertainment at Memorial Stadium.
Okay.
So let me just say this, because I know there have been a lot of news articles, there have been a lot of interviews, conversations, etc., and for some they have been, some mixed emotions. But I will tell you that everything is still in the planning process.
Of course.
Still in the planning process. And with that being said, that leaves opportunity for public comment and public input.
On that note, I know one of the main kind of criticisms of the plans is that Baton Rouge doesn't really have the infrastructure to support a greater influx of people coming here for events. I mean, we're here on LSU game day, and we have to reroute traffic and everything to try and fit everybody. It's chaos, it's havoc. So just like on that note, do you see like that they're not LSU, but the greater Baton Rouge can support greater, like bigger events coming in, and like that we will see some return on investment if these plans were to go through?
Absolutely. I do believe that we can handle, once again, did I say we were going to be the best mid-sized city in America?
Yes, you did.
So I believe that as the growing best mid-sized city in America, that we can handle. All of this takes planning. It takes strategy. Right now, I hear people talking about traffic quite frequently, whether it's game day or not game day. I hear people talking about traffic. But sometimes with growth, there is temporary discomfort. But at the end of the day, we see some long-term gain. So, for example, there's some interstate work that's taking place right now that will. The goal is to help us get some of this traffic moving, right? We have our Movie BR program, which is basically dealing with our roads and transportation here in the city. So, for example, and I know that this is a state project, the state is going to be working on Nicholson, and that has the potential to make another artery more fluid, right, for travel. So, with that being said, I believe that all of these issues surrounding, whether we have the capacity to handle big crowds, I believe we can, and I believe that in the process of seeing transformative projects, that we also have to consider the ancillary, if you will, and I guess I can say that issues that involve, that involve, and traffic flow has to be one of that. So one of those issues that is addressed, and I believe it will be.
Good. Wonderful.
Because we're still in the plan. Everybody's still in the planning process.
Right, of course. There's still a lot of room there's still a lot of room to assume that there's going to be some differences between this and the final product. Yeah. And it's also reassuring to know that like the people sort of, thank you, quote unquote, in charge are very much aware of the traffic issues, because I know that there's been a lot of murmurings around here about like, oh, the traffic's so bad, So.
And listen, by the time a lot of this happens, many people will have graduated.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I understand that like
these things do not move quick.
Development takes forever.
Yes. All right. Well, that is all that we have for the arena. So we're going to move on to. I mean, unless you have anything else to say, I don't mean to move on too quickly. We're going to move on to then our next topic.
Yeah. So the next topic is something that we've been covering a lot here on KLSU News for the past like year and a half, which is the BRPD. And now, obviously, you are not over the BRPD per se, but you have a lot of, I guess, hand-in-hand involvement with them. And so we've also seen a lot of controversy with the police over the past like decade, specifically the BRPD, and we've seen a lot of change also as well, with several officers being removed from their positions, and also now the nomination of T.J. Morse. So what steps are you and your administration considering taking when it comes to crime in the city, and specifically when it comes to working with BRPD?
Great question. There's no doubt in my mind that public safety is the number one issue for our citizens here in this city. Everyone wants to live in a place where they can, work, come home, and enjoy the fruit of their labor without having to be concerned about crime. And so we saw, through using some strategic methods, we saw our crime numbers, violent crime and homicides, go down over the past 2 years. And let me tell you what we used. We realized that there are many pillars involved in addressing crime. Law enforcement is one of it. And I'm going to come back to talking specifically about the BRT. Law enforcement is one of it. But we also, and mental health is a part of one of those areas that we have to focus on, and community engagement. So we have seen the combination of leaning in on those areas help us in crime reduction in the past, such as the past 2 years. But that was the past 2 years.
Yeah.
We're here right now, and what we have seen, unfortunately, in the since January is that it is an extreme uptick in crime. And so to address that, we have elevated our technology initiatives, like our crime cameras that can capture potential criminal activity. We have been very strategic using data, addressing those areas now that we see where the high crime is taking place, and affording our officers an opportunity to do overtime. We recognize a police presence not only helps address crime, but also helps avert crime as well, but also gives comfort to the citizens in this community. So I dedicated additional dollars for that in the past month for this overtime. I will tell you also that we have our real-time crime center, where we are able to integrate technology in addressing crime. A new chief, Chief Morris, is now using some strategic units, and in fact, there was a big announcement today dealing with a grand jury indictment. So we recognize that a lot of the crime, unfortunately, that has been taking place over the past months has not been people who don't know each other just arbitrarily going up to people, but it has been more targeted. It has been group violence, groups who have a beef on social media or know each other or have names that represent certain areas of the community that they're known for. And so these are people who know each other at the end of the day. But nevertheless, I am not going to stop as mayor until I see a constant settling of crime in this community until I see crime mitigated, and we're building a community where peace is the norm versus bad behavior and criminal activity. And that means it's a constant daily work. Now, you talked about the Baton Rouge Police Department and their history.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first came in office, I implemented with the chief at that time some strategies. First of all, I helped to get body cameras for every police officer. We didn't have body cameras before I came into office. So we had a pilot program, and then we fully implemented body cameras. We made sure that it was de-escalation was part of the training of our officers. In fact, our present chief was one of few officers who's been through procedural justice training, and we implemented de-escalation practices in policy. So after George Floyd, you may remember that there were a list going around in terms of policies that should be implemented in police departments so that what happened to George Floyd would not happen again. And we were, believe it or not, ahead in terms of those policies that were on the list. We had pretty much implemented all of them when I first came in office because, as I said, we had the officer-involved killing of Alton Sterling. So we immediately went to address those issues. I think it would be good for you to have Chief Morris on here. Chief Morris.
Look into it.
Yeah.
Chief Morris, this is a call out.
Yeah,
we're coming
exactly.
for you next.
Yeah. I think it would be great to have Chief Morris. I think he's an LSU grad, as I recall.
Oh, wonderful.
But it would be great to have him on here so he can tell you his 100-day plan that he started and implemented as it relates to officers who have not followed the law or have not been good representation of our Baton Rouge Police Department. I will tell you that there are more officers who are good officers who are doing the right thing than there are those who are not doing the right thing in what they are supposed to be doing. And so just like anyone else, there are consequences to behavior and bad actions. So that's what happens even within the Baton Rouge Police Department. But I'm very optimistic. As I said, I've been to many graduations of cadets, and I feel very. I'm looking forward to seeing the future of our police department, which is growing in terms of young officers, a diverse group. Just yesterday at the Metro Council meeting, I honored a young officer who's been on the force for 5 years and who was a hero in saving a baby's life who, by giving the child CPR for 10 minutes and saved the child's life. And you don't always hear about those stories, right?
Yeah.
But I believe he's representative of the next generation, if you will, of law enforcement officials of BRPD.
Wonderful. I mean, I think we're all looking forward to a safer community,
Yes.
as you mentioned.
Yeah. Nobody wants that more than I do.
Right. I can't think of a single person that I met that goes, actually, I think Baton Rouge should be more unsafe. I know, anecdotally, I'm sorry, my apartment building was broken into recently, so I'm a little...
I'm sorry about that. But let me just say this, and it's important. I know it's all relative, but it's important that I say this. Crime, cities across America are dealing with this same issue. So this is not just happening in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's happening all over because I talk with mayors who, all of us are focused on public safety and mitigating crime in our communities.
Of course. It's not just a Baton Rouge thing or even a Louisiana thing. And I mean, of course, there's a lot of focus on the BRPD right now because of some controversies that they've found themselves in. But it can be easy to assume that things are the worst they've ever been in the time and place that you are currently in. That it sounds like, well, it doesn't sound like it is, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Cade, anything?
Well said. I was going to let you take the next question.
Sure. So, one of two questions to conclude, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but what do you hope that Baton Rouge looks like after your tenure as mayor?
Oh, I love that question. I hope that Baton Rouge looks like a clean city, an attractive city, a city where entrepreneurs are thriving all across the board, where families are much happier, and where roads are paved and smooth, and things are flowing that have created us to be the best mid-sized city in America.
Well said.
Wonderful. Yes. And
flowing mainly traffic.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then finally, to end everything off, when voters see your name on the ballot, what word or phrase do you want them to think of?
When voters see my name on the ballot, I want them to think of the word, one word?
One word or phrase.
Not to put too much pressure on.
Okay. I want them to think of the word dependable builder.
Does that have a dash between them?
It's hyphenated.
Yeah, you could put a dash. Dependable builder.
Dependable builder.
In fact, I'm using for my hashtag. Well, you know what? I want them to think of dependable leader.
Okay.
Dependable leader. Dependable leader. And look, I've been using as the hashtag Broome the Builder.
Oh.
So because I've been building and I need to continue to finish. Remember that house I talked about?
Yes.
Baton Rouge is the house. I've got to finish the house. Broome the Builder.
Broome the
All
builder.
Right. You know, if you weren't mayor, I'd say that you would have a decent chance in construction management.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, these are all the questions that we have for
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
No
Is there
problem.
any questions that you have for us or anything that you think we didn't touch on that you want to
I
elaborate
think we covered
on?
a lot of territory.
Yes.
Listen, I'm gonna put my governing hat on right now, since we have an audience of students. I just want everyone to know that there's room at the table for everyone. I welcome feedback and input and recommendations. Certainly, it's easy to complain, but I believe we have here an opportunity for students to help create the next Baton Rouge that they want to see and live in and thrive and prosper. So, hit me up with your ideas. At mayor@brla.gov. You can hit me up with your ideas there. And we also have an initiative that I started years ago. It's called 15 Minutes with the Mayor. So if you have an idea, if you have something that you believe will help improve our city or our parish, the mayor is open to hear from you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess, do you want to take us out, Mel?
I do. I would like to say that KLSU, obviously nonpartisan, no dogs in this race. However, the only dog that we have in this race is that everybody who watches this and then everybody that they know who is eligible to vote does so.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Go vote.
And that's spelled the Louisiana way.
GEAUXVOTE. There is only one way to ensure that your ideas are being heard, and that is to get out there and make your voice heard in the polls. So no matter who you vote for, do it. Go vote.
All right. Well said.
I agree.
Thank you. Well, that is everything from us. Once again, a ginormous thank you to Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome for sitting down with us. You're obviously a very busy person,
Yes.
and so we really do appreciate you carving out this time to sit down with us and answer our questions and everything.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. And for KLSU News, I'm Mel Bridges.
I'm Cade Williams.
And thank you so much for listening.